Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Tonight, I would like to tackle the issue of the growing economic chasm between the ruling elite and the voters. This is not only true in Zimbabwe, but it's true in many, many African countries. Here is a video of somebody emphasizing that very point.
Kasongo yeye Mombali nanga Kasongo mbona wewe Songa libala oh yeye Kasongo mbona wewe Mombali nanga Atali ya mama yake kama naye
I don't know the language, but I don't have to know it. You could tell that is somebody who is bleeding, who is crying at the sheer injustice of it all. The contrast between where the voters live. This is the 21st century, for Pete's sake. And yet many still live in mud huts, in abject poverty. How is it come to this? Ben, welcome to the program.
Good day to you and good day to our viewers. Thank you for joining us. You know, the first thing that comes to my mind, and I think she put it beautifully, is Margaret Dongo. The moment politics became a big, lucrative business, we are in the time where those that want to hold or that wish to hold public office, their first, their intention is to first get the money that they invested whilst they were on the campaign trail, to get it back, and then obviously to make a profit. So politics has become a good investment, and in the case of Zimbabwe, this is evident by you let's say, for example, I'll give you an example of an aspiring MP who goes on the campaign trail, gives away cups, plastic cups, and plates to the voters, buys their vote, and eventually the voter goes and vote for them. So the first thing they want to do is to get back the money for the cups and plates, and then obviously once they are in there, they get given a $70,000 check to go and buy a car for themselves that they see fit. And obviously comes housing stands, they're given, and allowances, and obviously their salary on top. So that day is motivation enough for them to keep going on and on and on and on, at the expense of the poor guy that didn't realize that that cup and that plastic plate is going to cost them dearly. So this is why now you see, as you can see from the top, the president, the minister, and then the MP, and then there is the guy that got that plastic cup and plate. So which costs probably $2. And he has got, like what I've mentioned, that is a package maybe over half plus 100,000. So There is a big winner and then there's a big loser.
It is tragic. This is, some people may not be aware of it, this is the late Robert Gabriel Mugabe's blue roof mansion in Harare. A sprawling mansion, 4 floors. And people may be interested to know that ever since Mugabe's death, there's hardly anybody living there. The wife, most of the time, she is in Dubai or somewhere in the Far East. The 2 boys are hardly there. And the daughter, she's married, she has got her own mansion. And so the mansion was built at a cool cost of 3 to 4 billion US dollars. And is now lying idle. This is very common among African leaders. They build themselves large mansions at the expense of the country. Mugabe's blue roof mansion was built at a time when the amount of money spent on the mansion could have built Patoka Gorge Hydro. This is the hydro power station downstream of Victoria Falls. They had the feasibility studies for that project from Ian Smith soon after independence, and should have been built. Ian Smith would have built it and probably completed it by 1980 if it had not been for the Civil War. 45 years after independence, that dam has not been built. And Zimbabwe has had endless problems of load shedding. And so it is not surprising that the country's economy has been in total meltdown. And so we end up with the voters still living in mud huts in this, the 21st century, in this day and age. What is tragic here is also the fact that this is a deliberate and calculated move by the ruling elite. ZANU-PF, ever since it got into power, has deliberately kept millions of our people poor, particularly those in the rural areas. Here is a video clip of Margaret Ndongo, who was herself a former ZANU-PF MP and a liberation war fighter in her own right, speaking to the issue of why ZANU-PF is keeping millions of our people poor.
They have wrong priorities, especially the current government. How can you go and build an airport which services a few people, and the majority are the elite and the so-called investors? Look at the rural. I made you come to interview me because I wanted you to have the experience of the roads that we are using. If we go today to our hospital there, you feel pity with that's a hospital in a rural area. If we go to our clinic, you feel pity. We have no piped water here. Do you know the reason why the rural people vote for ZANU-PF? One, they're intimidated. Two, The policy is that the rural people should remain poor and subservient to the government. They should remain poor, because if they remain poor, they continue singing the song for their master. This is why these people have been impoverished. It's for a reason. Because the moment, if you economic empower these people, they'll go out of hand. ZANU-PF will never have control over them.
Ben.
Yeah, it's what you said. There's an element of truth in it. This is the truth. ZANU PF has constantly made sure that people do not spread their wings or do not grow lest they fly away, right? But I want to draw you to the attention of the Mugabe blue roof. It was always a hush thing. Nobody knew where Mugabe was staying. Nobody knew about the blue roof until later on, in just the past few years, right? But now, what you are finding out that the amount of looting and all this, political investments is now out there in the open. You cannot say that the people do not know this is what is happening. We cannot say people do not know that you know these guys that are looking for public office are not there to represent them alone, but their main objective is to try and you know make money for themselves. The evidence is there. The MPs, both ZANU PF and opposition, they don't want one car anymore. They don't want the $70,000 car anymore. They want two of those. They want housing, schemes put forward. They want loans being brought forward, although the economy is not doing very well. So the evidence of wanting to amass wealth is there. My question now would be, with this evidence, why is the voter still where he is? Why is he not saying or doing anything about it? That is the question. What the others, now we know what they stand to gain. The president, what he stands to gain. The minister, what he stands to gain. The MP, what he stands to gain. What do the voters stand to gain? Are we saying that they are okay with getting fish and chips, or are they okay with getting a plastic cup and a plastic plate? Are they content with that? And let us continue voting as we are doing. That is the question that needs to be addressed now. What are we going to do about it?
In my opinion, the truth of the matter is the voters have been voting for the opposition in the belief that the opposition are fighting in their corner. Ever since the late 1990s, the people of Zimbabwe have realized that ZANU-PF was rigging the elections to stay in power. And as long as the regime had carte blanche powers to rig elections, there will be no meaningful change. What the people also realized is that they needed to elect opposition parties whose primary task will be to implement the democratic reforms. And so for the last 25 years, the people of Zimbabwe have risked their livelihoods, limbs, and many have lost even their lives to elect MDC CCC leaders into power on the understanding they will implement the reforms to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections. What the people have been slow to realize is that the MDC CCC have since crossed the floor. They have found if they cooperate with the ZANU-PF regime, they will climb the ladder a lot quicker. And so while they've come and continue to pretend that they still care about the people, what they really care about is getting on the gravy train. And so we found ourselves in this situation where 25 years after the MDC was formed, including the 5 years in the GNU of 2008 to 2018, not even one token reform has been implemented. And so ZANU-PF is able to rig elections and stay in power. I do not see any hope of any meaningful change as long as this arrangement continues, where the opposition tell the people that they are going to bring change and they should participate in flawed elections. And ZANU-PF knows that as long as the opposition and millions of their supporters participate in flawed elections, they will have legitimacy. So change can only come from the people themselves realizing that the opposition, MDC, CCC, are and have been ZANU-PF Team B in all but name for a long time now. They've been playing for Team A to win and for Team A to have legitimacy. In return, they've got a share of the spoils of power. This is what is happening here. And as long as people don't realize it, nothing will change. As we can see from that picture there, the president, the ministers, the MPs, they are doing very well, thank you. And I think this picture actually is very accurate representation. It doesn't distinguish ZANU-PF MP from MDC or CCC MP. They are on the gravy train together. They are sharing the spoils of power. The opposition MPs are being rewarded for helping ZANU-PF to stay in power and to give the regime legitimacy. It is the people themselves who have got to wake up to the reality that it is sheer insanity to keep participating in flawed elections when you know they are flawed, when you know that by participating, you're only giving vote rigging ZANU-PF legitimacy. This has been said, and these people have been warned of this so many times. They don't want to listen. There's really nothing anyone can do about it. Ben, do you want to give your closing remarks?
In closing, I would want to say, I mean, the evidence is clear, and I think you have touched on it as well to say, you know, this is evidence enough why you find that the opposition are so keen to continue participating in rigged elections and knowing fully well that they will lose those elections because they are rigged anyway. So the question still remains. We know that these other three groups, the president, the minister, and the MP, have something to gain of substance. The question is to the voter that goes and does the donkey work, that goes and queue up What do you have to gain for it? Whatever you are fighting for, is it being achieved by this group, these other three groups? The answer is no. So why do you keep falling into the same trap always? This is a question that we ourselves should be able to answer. And nobody will answer for us, and nobody will fix the mess for us unless we do it ourselves. Food for thought.
Thank you very much, Ben. I think I'll just close with playing the tape again of the mournful
Kasongo ye Mombali nanga Kasongo mbona wewe Songa libala Oh ye Kasongo mbona wewe Mombali nanga